They employ their three tight ends. Our previous show do against and their tight ends like Dale did superhuman monsters.
Good morning, everybody. We are back for segment 2 here. We did the entire first segment over an hour, just NFL talking, some little general back and forth banter in there too, which I've been wanting to get into. So, I appreciate us doing that. But we're going to pick up segment 2 here with some NBA talk, primarily the Wizards and the moves that they've made here lately, and that the on the court action as well. And then we can talk about the Nuggets a little bit. And then towards the end of the segment, get into some NHL talk with the Caps. And I'll give the Avs a shout out to it there at the end. But I'll kick it over to you to get us started with the Wizards and the moves they made and how they played since.
As I said in the preview, I was shocked that we got Kristaps Porzingis by trading Dinwiddie and Bertans. And I kind of went in a little bit hard on Dinwiddie about his statement and said, "Oh, they didn't give me a chance." But bro, they did give you a chance. You just never took the opportunity and ran with it. Yes, if you're talking and no one's listening to you, the only way you can make them listen to you is by your play. And if your play ain't going to show it, who's going to listen to you? I don't want to be critical. Yes, you come off an ACL injury and it does take time to come. But if you were, I'll put it this way, if you knew you couldn't get back on the court, why didn't you say something? You should have said something. And I know for a fact that Wes Unseld Jr. would not have played you. I know for a fact that he wouldn't have, because you're being a detriment to the team. But after they traded those pieces away with Harrell, with Bertans and Dinwiddie, we got Ish Smith back, which I love that. He's balling out. He's a typical point guard. He's not a starting point guard. He's a good backup point guard that can come and push it when you need to. But I do like what they're doing. We only will know if this trade is amazing until Kristaps plays, until the unicorn comes in and drops dimes on everybody. That's when we'll know if the trade, what happened, is good for us or bad for us. Because right now we're just putting in pieces just to mesh everybody together. And I'm going to say this: Anthony Gill is the piece you need to win a championship team. To win a championship, you need a player like Anthony Gill, because he's like the who is that guy on Golden State? Green. He's like Green. He can come in there, get the rebounds, score, plays well. He's in the right positions. He moves the ball well. That's the kind of utility player you need to win a championship game, win a championship. Because without those kind of players, you don't have a championship team and you don't have a championship kind of pedigree. They need to start off by looking at they need to start playing him a little bit more in the lineup compared to like Bryant or even Gafford, is because even though I like Gafford and Bryant, it's just that sometimes they make unnecessary boneheaded mistakes, I'll put it that way. But Gill doesn't. And that shows a lot to as a testament. When you go small, he can come in and get and he's not a small guy. He's pretty big. He's like 6'9" or 6'10". He looks like it, but he comes in and does what he needs to do. I like the way they're kind of utilizing Neto as a starting point guard. I kind of started to say that they should start Neto at point guard. He's kind of proven that he's a starter in my eyes, because he just handles the ball and he can create his own shot. I kind of sometimes I call into his question his shot making capabilities, because he thinks he can throw the overhook shot. Sometimes it goes in, but it's like a lucky shot.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: without Kristaps playing, we can't really put a kind of like a heartbeat on this team if the trades that they made are good, because that was the biggest trade they did. It was get Kristaps Porzingis, and he's not playing. So we don't know. We just have to evaluate the talent that we have right now. And I think we have it. I think we have a good thing. It's just that they need to start believing in themselves. I think along the way, they forgot who they are and how they got there. Because I like Kuzma's leadership. I like Kispert. People are talking about trading Rui. I'm against that. He just needs to get his legs back to where they are. People say, oh, he's not an elite NBA. He doesn't need to be an elite NBA player. He needs to drop 10 to 20 points a game. That's all and he can do that. It's just that when you don't play for a year, almost a year, and you're coming back from the Olympics, he's still young. He's like 24 years old, or I think he's 24.
He's 23 or 24. I looked that up before. He's in there.
he's just a kid. Let him grow. And then if he doesn't do it, then you can say, all right, see you later. We need someone else. But until then, they have a great young nucleus. Don't break up a nucleus just because you're thinking that he can't play in the league. Brad, I've heard, has the reins to the GM. Pretty much. He's making the calls. So if you look at it, I think that's true because he has them handcuffed, because who he doesn't like, they're gone. If they're not here anymore. And people are saying he's going to get the max contract. I agree with that, because if you're holding the team handcuffed, no one's going to pay him $50 million a year except for the Wizards.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think you're right about the fact that the GM is consulting him with the moves they're making. I say it's unfortunate because I know that they see him as a player that they can build around for a championship run. I don't necessarily agree with that. He's not a player that I would give a max deal to. Once you give him a max deal, you still need to add 2 other max players around him to make that a championship team. And to me, if you have to do that, I'm not giving that one guy the max deal. If you have to add other max players to build around him, I don't think the Kristaps Porzingis move was enough to, when Bill comes back, for them to be a championship team. That said, I do like the move because I like him as a player when he's healthy, which is, about 30 or so games a season. But he's a great player. He's 7'3" with handles and a shot. Like, he can pull up from Steph range and knock him down with no problem. It's just he hasn't been able to stay on the court. Maybe a change of scenery might help him out. I know he loves the area. He's been a Washington Commanders fan, formerly Redskin and football team fan, for a long time. That's a little known fact about him. So he was happy to come here. The fact that he likes the area, maybe that'll motivate him to take better care of his body so he can stay on the court.
That Mambo sauce got some healing power.
Yeah, and there's we got one Latvian for another Latvian, so maybe I don't know what the area is as far as the Latvian community, but hopefully he comes in and feels comfortable there since he likes it already. I hope that things play out well with him and his health. If it does, I think that, like you said, with the rest of the roster, the young core with Beal next season, this can be. It can't. I said it in the beginning of the season. I gave them a lot of credit for their record. They can be a good team, man. They need to. So in the draft, if they somehow don't make the playoffs and get a high pick, I'm targeting point guard. If that doesn't happen, then I try to find a point guard in free agency. It'll be hard to find an impact player outside of the top of the draft. But if they can't get a high pick at point guard, then they need to target that in the offseason. If they can get a solid point guard, and with what they have, Ish Smith he's a good piece. He'll be a good backup next season. But he might help them make a run this season, because they were sorely in dire need of a point guard. With Beal, that's all they needed, and they would have been a solid team. But without him, maybe Ish can help them coming off the bench, or maybe eventually in a starter role, get them to where they need to be. Since the moves, though, they beat the Nets, at home. Kyrie was playing in that game. Eddie went to that game, actually. He said it was great to see Kyrie up close, see those handles up close. And Kyrie was there. It was a back and forth affair, and the Wizards pulled it out in the end. After that, they got smashed by the Kings. And Sabonis had a good game. He had 16 and 11 in that game. A guy who should be on the Wizards. But the Kings got him, and they destroyed the Wizards in that game. And then the Wizards beat Detroit. They handled business in that game too. That's a game Detroit has a good young core too. But the Wizards, if you have any hopes of getting anywhere, they took care of business there. And Ish Smith leading the way there. Kyle Kuzma had a good game. They looked good in that game. Then they lost to the Pacers in a game that was not as close as the score indicates. Therese Halliburton from the Kings had a great game in that game. I wish we could have made a move somehow to get that dude. He's gonna, in that situation, and there with the Pacers, he's a future star. He's a really good player. If you never heard his name because you're in Sacramento, you'll be hearing it more with him being there. He's a great player. Then they beat the Nets again. The Nets didn't have Kyrie, but they had Drummond and Seth Curry. But the Wizards really, that game was close early, but in the fourth quarter, the Wizards kind of pulled away. Ish Smith led the way. Rui, who you were talking about before, Rui had a great game in that game. And something I haven't seen out of him really since he's been in Washington. I saw it in the Olympics because he cared. You know what I saw out of him in that game? Passion. He was playing like a man possessed in that game. His shot was on. He was dunking like he was playing like Rui at Gonzaga. That's
Mhm.
what I want to see out of him. Maybe playing with Bill held him back or something. I don't know. But this is his chance to make this with Kuzma. They're like they can take a step forward, both of them, and take control of this team.
And
This is
my
their
boy
chance to
Danny
do that.
Avdia,
Hey,
Danny. I mean, he like
you brought up Danny. You know what they've been starting to do here with him? Something that we've both been talking about. They've been experimenting with him at the point.
mhm,
I want to see that more. Thank you,
yes,
Wes. Keep
yes,
that
because
going.
the thing is, I see this. I was hearing on the other sports talk radio shows, and like, oh, they should just tank and get it. I was like, listen, I don't believe in that anymore. I just don't, because as a man, you just can't. I mean, how can you wake up in the morning and say, I'm not going to play this game that you're getting millions of dollars for? If you play hard and lose and you don't make, okay, then I can respect that, because then you can get that draft pick or whatever. And at the end of the day, what happens if they make a run? Not even to the playing game. If the Boston Celtics can win 8 games in a row, why can't the Wizards win 8 games in a row and make it to that next step? You still have a whole second half of the season to play. You don't
There's
know
about
what's going to,
25 games left or so,
yeah,
somewhere in
like,
there.
at 25. That's a lot of games to play.
It's enough.
And you don't know, any team can get with injuries. One team can win, like, get on fire and win. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. If you're going to already set yourself up for failure, if you're going to think like that, then you just have a loser's mentality. They're not out of the playoffs. If you look at it, as crazy as that sounds, in the East only, they're not that far off.
They're
Their
not.
records are, I mean, even though they're in 11th place, I mean, they could easily be in the 8th place. I mean, it's just like 6 games or 7. If they get hot, they win 7 in a row. I mean, yeah, it's a far fetch, but it could happen. I'm not talking about, oh, I'm a fanboy. No, I'm just talking about reality. With Beal out, you have to elevate your game, and they have elevated it. It's just that I think they're playing the younger guys, which makes sense, but they're making the mistakes like how younger guys are making. And that's why I like Kyle Kuzma's leadership. When I think it was in the Indiana game or the Nets game, I don't remember which two it was. When Pittsburgh missed the 3-point, he went like, it's okay, we got you. And when he made it, he was like, it's a good shot that you made. That's the kind of leadership we need. And Beal, I don't think he's a leader per se. He's more of like, it's my way or the highway kind of individual. I'm sorry. I mean, that's the kind of, I don't think I don't see him talk to players. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think he knows how to take somebody and say, it's okay, you screwed up, we can get him again the next time. And that's what this team needs, is a Kyle Kuzma leadership. And we've been saying it from the beginning. And so have you stated that Kyle Kuzma is really good and he's been great. And I'm glad, because now he's bringing that championship pedigree that he won with the Lakers here. He's seen what needs to get done. And that's why he's more critical to this team than Beal is now, because now he's kind of bringing pieces together. He's kind of mixing and matching talent now, in the sense that, oh, I can play with Kispert, I can play with Rui, I can play with Danny. You can put me in any position and I can play. Even if he has an off night, he's still making an impact on the team. Because when Gil came in, Jesus Christ, like it was just like a whole new team.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because he definitely brings energy off the bench. And something I was once a big Thomas Bryant fan because of the way he banged inside. And that's kind of a lost art in today's NBA. But his injury, he came back a broken player. He obviously has been working on his shot while he was hurt and couldn't really run around. And now he's become a kind of a stretch 5, which this team doesn't need. They don't need anybody, any of their big guys playing that way. That's what he is now. So he needs to either chill, which I don't think he's going to do, or Unseld needs to take it upon himself to give Gil more minutes, give Gafford more minutes. I think Gafford in the last game played about 13 minutes. I think Gil played like 18.
Yeah.
So that's not sufficient, especially with Bryant playing the way he is with that garbage stretch game. He can knock down a shot, fine, great. They don't need that from him though. They need their 5 playing like a 5. And he's not giving them that, but the other 2 guys are. So the move I'm making there, I don't know if I'm playing him at all. You might hurt his feelings, but I think for the betterment of it's better for the team if Gil, who's just he's really bringing it. I didn't when I first saw him getting out there, I was like, I've never heard of Anthony Gill, but he passes the eye test, man. That dude, he's energy, and that's infectious.
Because I'm a big college basketball guy, right? I love watching college basketball. And when he played with UVA, that's the kind of player he was. And when he won that championship, he was the same kind of player. He goes in and does what he needs to do. He doesn't go outside his preview. And that's why I said you need that kind of player to win a championship. That's what the kind of players you need is you need your stars to be stars. And you need your role players to come in and know what they need to do. That's why the Bulls were so successful. Everybody knew what their role was, and if you didn't,
a quote
Jordan will put you in check. Not even Pippen. Jordan.
A quote that Portland Trailblazers assistant coach Rodney Billups posted a long time ago on his Facebook page was, "The hardest thing for a basketball player to do is understand and accept their role."
Yes,
because everybody wants to be Jordan. Everybody wants to be Steph. Everybody wants to be the guy who takes all the shots. But in the league, that's not how it works. You have one of those guys maybe on every team. But that guy is usually not going to be you, random NBA guy. So you got to accept your role, understand your role, and play your role.
Yeah. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's about that ring. It's about that ring. And the reason why I say this, not many players can say they won an NBA championship ring or any kind of championship ring. You can be a very few. If you understand your role and say, hey, I may not have been the major part, but I did play a small role in getting the championship team. Be on the championship win. You didn't even have to play. You can just be encouragement. You could have been a psychological. People may have come to you and they can be like, hey, he may not have played, but he was the one that stuck to us like glue. Like he was the glue that held this team together. And that's more important than anything else. And I think that's a lost art because people think I need to be the glitz and glamour. And I think the Wizards now, I'm hoping they kind of seeing that light is because with Gill playing and with other pieces coming together, I think this team can be very formidable. I mean, they have the pieces to be very scary. It's just that they need to work together. And once they can get that, the sky's the limit for them.
Yeah, and this is a team with no superstars, which can be a good thing if you have guys out there working. If you have scrappy guys that are just annoying to play against, picking up a guy like Ish Smith that gives this team the potential to be that. And then with the energy guys like Gafford and Gill, this team can be just an annoying team to play. Their roster, if you look at those names, it's not going to scare you. But on the court, when you're facing up against that kind of energy, when you're facing a Kuzma who can light it up, that can be a scary and annoying team to play. When you get Kristaps back on the court, hopefully he should actually be back after the All-Star break. I think I saw. So with him coming back, I'd start him, of course. I don't know if I start him at the 4 or 5, but either way, he's starting. Then at the other position, since he's more of a shooter, you start Gafford. I might start Gafford because your height is not a concern because you've got Porzingis, so that kind of washes that out. But with the effort on the boards, I want Gafford there doing that. At the 3, of course, Kuzma. I know. I forget who's been starting there. I think Kuzma had been starting there. Oh, KCP had been starting at the 3. And then
he needs to come off the bench.
Yeah, I think so too. They like to start him because supposedly he's a good defender. I don't know how. I don't really care about defense, frankly. I want more consistency on the offensive side. He had 27 points the other night, and he can do that. He's a good shooter. It's just he's so streaky. So
KCP or
Oh
wow, okay,
yeah. But I want more consistency on the offensive end, so I'd rather have him off the bench. I don't know if you start Kispert at 2 or bring Denny off the bench.
It's hard because now you have Kristaps Porzingis now, right? So it's really difficult to have because he can shoot the 3-point shot.
Yeah.
So you really don't need Kispert as a start. I'll put Danny because Danny can do so many multifaceted things. Like he can come off the curl, he can shoot, he can handle the ball, and you also have a defensive lockdown specialist. So you can start Neto as point, right?
I want to get to a point where they're starting Ish. Neto's fine for now while Ish gets acclimated. But I want to see Ish starting.
His handles are sick, like fire. Like
he's a very solid point guard.
Yeah. And he had no turnovers, 0 turnovers in the Nets game. 0. That's a goose egg.
He's not going to win a game for you on the offensive end, but they don't need him to do that. They need him to distribute. And when you've got a shooter like Kristaps, when you've got Kispert, Denny, like you said, can shoot, and Denny can assist with the ball handling. So yeah, that's fair. Eventually, I'd like to see Ish starting, Denny, Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps, and then Gafford or whoever. Frankly, I don't care if they want to do Thomas Bryant, whatever. I don't.
So
I prefer to not see that, but whatever.
For me, I agree with you because at the end of the day, like I like Gafford's size. He's a good. The thing is, Gafford's 7'1"?
Gafford, no, he's like 6'9".
No, Gafford's 6'9".
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. He plays bigger, but he's not 7 foot. No.
Really? Wow. Okay, I'm shocked.
He's like 6'8", 6'9". Let me see.
I thought he was. Wow.
If he plays big, like that's deceiving because he does play bigger than his size.
Maybe he's just really skinny. That's why he looks so tall.
He's listed at 6'10". I guarantee he's not 6'10".
So then Bryant's taller than him.
Bryant is listed as I think 7 foot, but I don't think I've seen him in person. He's not 7 foot.
Oh, really?
No. Huh. Thomas Bryant is like 6'9" in person.
But I'll put it this way: like 6'9".
He's listed at 6'10" too.
With shoes on 6'10". Okay,
I'll give you that.
Right? But that makes a good lineup because you have defensive prowess with Gafford and Denny. You have your scoring options with you have Kristoff and Kuzma, and you have Ish to distribute. And Ish can create his own shot very well because he's just a cross-up artist. I mean, in the other game, you didn't know if he was going to drive into the lane or take the shot. So if you guard him up at the three-point line, he'll blow right by you and he can lay it up because his layups are awesome. I like his layups.
Yeah. And adding Kristaps to that mix, that length, man, that's a nightmare defensively to play against that kind of length with Denny in the backcourt or wherever they want to put him. That's Denny's length too, and he's a good defensive player. He's what?
Isn't Denny 6'8"? He's tall. Denny's
really like 6'9", 6'10". He's up there too.
Yeah, he's up there. And they were saying that with Kristoff now, the Wizards have like probably the biggest front court in the NBA. Like according
when you've got a 7'3" guy, I mean. But the thing about Kristaps is he doesn't play like that. He doesn't play his height on either side of the ball. He doesn't play like a 7'3" guy on offense or defense. He's not out there getting boards, but it's still, with his arms up, that's still a formidable matchup. Yeah. So
because all you need is to distract the shooter. You don't need to block a shot. You just need to distract him so he can get off his shot. So get his shot off in an untimely way. But how do you see, like, since the trades that happened with the Wizards, did Denver like do anything to position themselves better in the West?
They didn't do anything at the deadline, and I don't really necessarily disagree with that. I think what they've got right now with the guys who are playing right now is fine for where they are. Jokic, assuming he can stay healthy, which I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. He has a track record for staying healthy. He's got them in the 6th seed right now. They've kind of hovered around there all season. I don't see any reason for that to change. And then with Murray starting to ramp up here with the later in March or April, I think he'll be back next month. With him starting to ramp up, him and Porter Jr. kind of doing push-ups over in the corner, getting ready to hit the court. I think they're gonna. I hope they don't come back and mess up the chemistry. I don't see that. They've been playing together as a team long enough where I think they'll go right back in and pick up where they left off. Especially with Porter already playing this season a little bit. When they get those two guys back, they'll probably still finish around 5 or 6, but then in the playoffs, you don't want to see this team. The way Jokic has been playing this season, he's averaging 26, 13.8 boards, and then 7.9 assists. I don't think one other player in history has done that. I saw the stat earlier this week. I can't remember who it was, but he one of 2 players in history to put up that kind of line for a season. His numbers he's seen as better than his MVP season. He's with them playing at this level. You do not want to see this team. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's the Warriors, the Jazz. They don't scare me. The Suns. Nobody wants to see this team in the playoffs. Trust me.
Yeah, because when I can catch some of the Denver game because it's so late in the night, This team reminds me of the old scrappy, like the 80s and the early 90s teams where like they just bang you and bang you and bang, like the old Grizzlies, you know, the Memphis Grizzlies that used to have Zach Randolph and Mark Gasol. They
Gasol
just
and Conley.
and Conley, yeah, and Conley, yeah, and then they just went at it, and you know you're going to come into a fight with, or a good battle with that team. And the Grizzlies had a great team before they broke it up, but this is what this new Denver team kind of is because Jokic is playing at an MVP level. If he doesn't get MVP, it's a travesty, and the NBA is rigged because without him, that team would not be the same Denver team. It would not. I'm just sorry because you don't have Jamal Murray. And you don't have like some other pieces, but at the end of the day, they have a solid bench. They have a solid starting lineup, good coach. So I think this team is like the Milwaukee Bucks of last year. They're built like that. You know, they have timely 3-point shooting. They have a double machine in Jokic. They even have a double machine in Jamal Murray. Huh?
Triple-double machine.
Triple-double machine. So this is going to be interesting because the Suns are the hottest team, I think, in the West because they've won like an extreme amount of games, I think, in the last couple of days. But I see Golden State kind of declining as the playoffs start. I think they're not going to be as strong as people think they are because they always fizzle out towards the end because they start really, really hot, but they always fizzle. The Suns have something to prove. But I think the Western Conference Finals can be the Jazz and the Suns. I think Golden State is not. I don't think Golden State. I mean, they may even lose to the Suns before, depending on who they play. But I think Denver can make some noise, and people are going to be shocked about how they kind of run over some teams.
Yeah, I think if Murray comes back as himself, if he comes back 100% and gets ramped up and is Jamal Murray by the playoffs, and then Porter can give them anything. To me, if I'm making a pick, I'm picking them as the favorites in the West if they get back completely healthy, because it's hard to pick against them with the way Jokic is playing. Golden State, I don't really see them trailing off. They're kind of trailing off now because Draymond has been out. Once he gets back healthy, though, I predict that they wouldn't lose another game with Clay back, and I'm sticking to that. Once they're healthy completely, and then getting Wiseman back at some point too, they're going to be tough to beat. They're definitely going to be tough for anybody. The Suns, of course, are going to be there, but if they have to face Denver early, Denver will take them out. The Suns and the Warriors in Denver, that would be the Denver just beat them 2 nights ago.
Yeah,
they just beat them in Golden State. So of course they don't have Draymond, but look at Denver. Denver's not healthy either. Golden State's only missing one piece. So that would be a battle. I want to see that so bad. that would be great to see.
I would actually fly up to Denver to see that game.
That'd be fun.
I'll probably talk. I'd be like, let's go to Denver to see the game just to see, because that would be because there's certain NBA games you just like, all right, I gotta see this if this has ever happened in a lifetime. If that was like if that was like a playoff game, I probably would just take the weekend and just go.
I'd tell Raina, look, I can afford one ticket, so I'll go. I'll go check it out. I'll report back to you. I'll take some pictures.
Yeah, or just live stream it on your phone.
I'll live stream it for you. But so the Lakers, since we're talking about the Western Conference here, they're in the 9th seed right now. And then Anthony Davis just got hurt. I'll put out a tweet. I've joked about before on previous shows about calling him Mr. Glass, and he's always hurt. His nickname is actually one of his nicknames right now is Street Clothes, because he's always on the bench of Street Clothes. When he got hurt the other night, I felt horrible for him. First of all, it looked like he was in excruciating pain like that. It looked really bad. It looked like he broke it. And I felt so bad for him. I was like, yeah, I joke about him, but this one just it looks so, and he just got back to, I felt so bad for him. LeBron was just like, oh, again. You can see the look on his face. And thankfully the x-rays were negative, and it's just a really bad ankle sprain. I say just, and I've been there. That's the worst. They're in the 9th seed right now. They might fall out of playoff contention. And LeBron has kind of laid the groundwork for if that happens, him sitting the rest of the season too. He said, my knees hurt and I could use some rest and all this stuff. So if they fall out of playoff contention, I can see LeBron sitting it out to them just tanking the rest of the way. But with LeBron, I feel like they should be able to hang around the ninth into the playing game, but we'll see how that plays out. What do you think about that?
So the Lakers are their own worst enemy. It's the thing is it's LeBron. LeBron wanted this team to come together with all these things, so he only can blame himself. And if he is going to be like, "Oh, my knees hurting, this and that," just get all these excuses, bro, you're like a mega star. A mega star can't say that. A mega like Kobe played injured. Kobe, even when the Lakers were poo poo, he still played hard, and that's why Kobe is greater than LeBron any day of the week, in my opinion. And he has something on Jerry Bust and Pelinka. Or else they would have said no to him long time ago about bringing in Westbrook or bringing in any other people that he wants to bring in. Because now you see the fruits of his GMness. Like his playmanship is not working. Like his team that he wanted for the Lakers is not working. They traded away Kyle Kuzma and KCP, which was really bad because they could have, and Harold's on that team too, right? I mean, they traded those three away and they're suffering now because of it. It clearly shows. And Lamar, even though I'm not a big fan of the balls, but Lonzo Ball is balling out in the Lakers thing. So
yeah, they're definitely a better team if they still had those three guys, no doubt about it. Westbrook is I still think he's a great player. And as a matter of fact, I think if LeBron did go ahead and sit, I think Westbrook can still take that team to the playoffs, to at least get to the 10th seed. I think he's good enough to do that because he's proven it. He took a bunch of G Leaguers to the playoffs in OKC. So if he can do that, like there was nobody on that team. He took them to the playoffs. So I think he could do that again in LA.
He took the Wizards to the playoffs too. If it wasn't for him, I don't think
they had a decent. I mean, without him, no, they're not a playoff team, but they had a decent roster around him. Though.
They did, but I think LeBron is his own worst enemy. So the thing is, I mean, yeah, he's up there in age, but as a leader, you really can't say that kind of thing. Like you can't just, you just got to keep it quiet. Go if you really are, then okay, that's one thing. Like, I'm not going to go up against anybody who's really hurting or because it's your livelihood, but he kind of created his own problem. So at the end of the day, you only can look yourself in the mirror and be like, you know what, I got to save face. And besides, you bring in millions and millions of dollars just by showing your face and not playing. I mean, look at the fans who are coming to see you play. I mean,
I'll give him credit because he has been. He claims his knee is hurt. I got to take the man at his word. He's been playing through that, so I'll give him credit for that. But yeah, we'll see how things play out for them. Yep. They're ninth right now. We'll see if they end up in the playoff hunt towards the end. They've got a couple of teams that are kind of getting hot here. Portland, for some reason, is getting hot. Simons is playing out of his mind. They've traded away McCollum and kind of hollowed out the team a little bit. Lillard is still out, and they're playing well. So they're coming up behind the Lakers, and then the Kings too with picking up Sabonis. They're starting to make some moves too there.
So I wanted to know if the Wizards traded Dinwiddie and Bertans to Indiana, could we have gotten Sabonis?
They wouldn't have done that. That wasn't enough. They moved him because they got Halliburton back. Halliburton is he will be every bit as good as Sabonis was. So that trade worked for both sides, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I was thinking like if they traded maybe Bertans and Dinwiddie for Halliburton, would
no chance.
No chance at all.
He was a valuable piece. He was a good player. I think they moved him because it was one of those things where we have these good pieces, but we're not doing anything. So we just need to do something. So they just made a move just to make a move, just to hope that. But they got a great player in return in Sabonis.
Right.
So they were kind of hoping that he's a better complement for De'Aaron Fox. Than Halliburton.
I mean, he was balling against the Wizards, bro. Boy, I mean, so was Sabonis, but you know what you're gonna get in Sabonis. But can you imagine if you had Halliburton, Fox, and Sabonis? Jesus.
I mean, that would be great, but I don't know how they would have made that happen. They had to give up Halliburton because Indy wouldn't have traded him unless they got a guy like that back in return.
Yeah, no, because they're not going to trade a piece like Sabonis and get scrubs. I mean, that's not going to happen.
No, they got Halliburton and Hield. And Hill is a top flight 3-point shooter. So
I was, man, and there was there speculation about John Morant getting traded, or was he like his deal?
No, but an article did come out this week about the Pelicans were trying to make a move to get that pick so they could pick both Zion and Morant in that draft. That's what they wanted to do, but the Memphis wouldn't make the deal.
Yeah,
smartly.
poor Zion Williams, man. Williams or whatever. Geez, COVID did not do that. Boy, I mean, he was supposed to be like the pinnacle for the Pelicans, and now,
And he
uh,
still might be, but that's tough. That's a tough one.
yeah, he's still young, and I'm just like, man, like I just hope he can just get his act together and just. I mean, he's not a bust yet, but it's kind of shaping towards it. That's unfortunate, though. Kind of,
When he was healthy, his numbers were insane. So if he can just get healthy, who knows?
yeah.
Just go ahead and sit out the rest of the year and come back, slim down and healthy next year, and you won't have those foot issues. And yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, it's all because he put on so much weight. I mean, he's such a thing. It's just,
Yeah, and he got bad advice about rehabbing his foot too. Having broken my foot a few years ago, you can't mess around. Foot injuries are so tough to heal because the blood flow down there it's a little lower than the rest of your body, so you don't heal as fast. So I'm gonna take a quick break here because we've got some shenanigans going on outside my studio here. So I'll be right back in just a second.
family oriented.
Yeah, definitely family oriented show. My little man ran in the studio here while the show was going on, which is cool. That happens. I'll have to get him on the show at some point when he's a little older and can talk and communicate with y'all. That'd be cool. We're gonna go ahead and shift gears into some hockey talk.
Ooh.
We've been wanting to talk about the Capitals here, and with the NFL season winding down, we've definitely got some room to bring some other topics into play here. So we're going to go ahead and do that with the Washington Capitals. I'll go ahead and kick things over to you to give your thoughts on how they're doing this season and where they go from here.
So it's been an up and down season. I mean, they're lacking defense, lacking goaltending has kind of caused them some games, but eventually they kind of figured things out. Like they're a veteran team. They kind of figured things out. They kind of do some wrinkles. That's why I tell people, that's why I love Peter Laviolette as a coach. He knows it's a long season. He knows there's going to be ups and downs. And sometimes, of course, some calls don't go their way. Some calls just you just look at them to shake your head. They just need to stop the dumb penalties that they've been having for the last couple of games. But the game against Philly, they brought the thunder. That game was good. Hathaway, Artie's favorite player, 2 goals, gritty guy, but it's how they're playing. They're playing as a team, and sometimes like they'll score the first goal, then they'll give it up. But their goaltending needs to be solid, and that's one of the weaknesses I see in this team. If they're going to make a push in the playoffs, your goaltending got to be solid, and your defensively, they can't do boneheaded mistakes or boneheaded turnovers, because one mistake is dumpski. Like it can cripple you in the playoffs. And hockey's not like any other sport. It's like sometimes the puck bounces your way and sometimes it doesn't. And it's just different, man. Like it's a different animal. And I think if there were talks about Braden Holtby, as you mentioned in our Twitterverse, that the Caps are looking at him to come back. And if that's the case, I would give up anything to have him back. I mean, even though Caps have a very good goaltending, they're like goaltending university, because all their goaltenders have done well with other teams because they groomed him really well. We just need him back. I mean, he kind of solidifies the back end. Communication is key, and I don't think they have that right now.
Yeah, they're in 4th place right now in the Metropolitan Division with 65 points. The teams ahead of them, I think they've got Carolina's in 1st place in that division. You've got Pittsburgh there. You've got New York ahead of the Caps as well. Then the Caps are on 4th.
I
don't think Tampa's ahead. Is Tampa in that division?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't hold me to that. I know my stuff, but I'm not 100% on that one. While I'm going, if you want to look that up, you can go ahead and. But they're trailing Carolina, Pittsburgh, and New York are the Rangers in that division. There have been some trade rumors recently because they've been struggling on the defensive end, and goaltending has, for some reason, been an issue. I thought Vanacek's been out with an injury. Thought they were. Yeah, no, the Rangers are. Yeah, but I was wondering if Tampa was in that.
No, division. Tampa is not in their division.
They're in the Atlantic, Tampa, I think.
Yeah.
So, the rumors have been they've been interested in Marc-Andre Fleury from the Blackhawks, who of course was with Vegas when they went to the Cup and lost to the Caps. And then with Pittsburgh, he won, I think, 3 cups there in Pittsburgh, 2 or 3. I think Matt Murray was one of the goaltenders. I think Fleury was hurt one of those seasons. But Fleury, he has the pedigree, definitely. Blackhawks aren't good. So there have been rumors that the Caps have been sniffing around that, and they've actually made offers they've been turned down, I think, 3 times with
Mhm.
that. So with that being the case, they have had scouts at Dallas games checking out Holtby again to see if he'd be a fit. He's been up and down in Dallas this season, but with the return to Washington where he won the cup, he went down to 0-2 in that playoffs and then got Grubauer went down 0-2. Like Holtby wasn't the starter. Grubauer went down 0-2, bring Holtby back and they run all the way to the cup. With
Yep.
that kind of history, despite his more recent struggles, where did he go? I think he went to Vancouver
He
after the
went to
Caps.
Vancouver and
Didn't
then
play that well, and then ended up in Dallas. I'll take him back, like you said. I don't care about anything that happened after the Caps. I'll
Yep.
take him back. I'll pay him. They need
Yep.
something. They need something to light a spark into this team. I know we've
Mhm.
dealt with some injuries this season. Oshie's been out. He's due to come back here. He might be back in the next game, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
If not, he'll be there shortly afterwards. And then Mantha will be back soon too. Mantha's due back early next month. So
Yeah.
with them getting healthy, both of those guys are on the offensive end. Neither are defenders, so that won't really help there. But maybe more consistency on the offense will help the defense. And then hopefully they can make them. Maybe Vanacek will come back and make a difference if they don't make a move. But they've got to do something on the defensive end. And I mentioned that shows that they're weak there. And I'm not
Mhm.
sure. Maybe they can give up one of these goaltending pieces to get a defender in there. Just anything to help out on that end.
Yeah, because with Mantha and Oshie, that's what I think the power play has struggled because of that, even though they're scoring.
Possibly.
I mean, and it's just one of those things. It's just I'd rather have them be in the third and fourth position. I don't want to be number 2 or number 1. They just had bad luck with that. If they go into the playoffs, 3 and 4 is where their sweet spot is.
Yeah, seeding doesn't matter in hockey because it can always, like you've seen A seeds take out 1 seeds. Hockey's just one of, you just got to get in. So
Yeah,
as long as they're in, I'm fine with that.
they'll make the playoffs. It's just that if they're going to play, it's going to be a very kind of like, because the top 8 teams make the playoffs in hockey for both conferences. So it's almost like when they've always been the first, when they always number 1, they just had bad luck. When they're number 4 and on a little bit, number 3-ish, if they have the 3rd or 4th seed, that's when they kind of go all the way.
Yeah, I think they won the
almost,
President's Trophy in 2010 or something like that, and they've lost in the first round. So I don't care about being the number 1 seed. I couldn't care less about that. They just got to get in, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, and this year I think they're getting hot at the right time. There's always timing too, and hockey is like when you get hot. If a team's hot going in, they're a dangerous team.
The hot goalie.
So,
that's what it takes. So.
And with your thing on Marc-Andre Fleury, I mean, if I had to choose him or Holtby, it's. I mean, my heart was like go with Holtby, but I would probably choose Marc-Andre Fleury. He has a little bit more pedigree, just a tad bit more.
But I would love to have him, but unfortunately, he appears to not be an option because the Caps have been turned down 3 times. So
I mean, Brian McCollum will probably do something. He probably have something up his sleeve. He's like, all right, they said no 3 times, maybe the 4th time's a charm for them. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's going to be fun. I mean, we're trying I don't think we're going to go to any more games because getting to the meat of their schedule, and it's very expensive now. So
yeah, we'll probably hit up some Nuggets and Abs games here. It's a little pricey, but it's not Caps game expensive out here. So we'll probably hit up some games.
Yeah, Colorado number 1, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, quick shout out to the Avs, who are in first place in the Central Division with 74 points, and they've got a pretty comfortable lead over the next closest team, which I think is at 62.
63,
points.
yeah, Minnesota.
63. So yeah, they're kind of running away with that. Kind of expected that. They've got a strong lineup with McKinnon and Taves. They've got a strong goaltending too. Landeskog is having a good year. They're always solid, top to bottom team, good, well coached as well. But their goaltender, who's a young guy, is really playing well this season because they had Barley last season, and who was good from the Caps, of course. They had Grubauer too at one point.
Yeah, they did.
So I think they had him briefly, and then the Caps got him back. I think something like that happened. Something like that happened.
I don't think.
No.
I don't think he would.
They got Grubauer, and then did he go? I'm might be confusing some stuff here, but I was thinking about somebody who went to the expansion draft, but it was probably not him. No, I think it was Vanacek.
Vanacek
who went to Seattle and then got released, and then the Caps got him back.
Yeah. Where is Seattle in this? Are they? Oh, they're dead.
They're not good. Yeah, they're not good. But that's to be expected. I mean, Vegas was an outlier as far as expansion teams go, being so successful early, and that was because they had a guy like Schmidt from the Caps, and
Mhm.
then Marc-Andre Fleury. When you've got these guys, talented guys like that, you're gonna be good. They were great. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah,
And
that's
you
definitely
know,
an outlier. You don't see stuff like that.
nah, and Vegas is like the number 2 in the Pacific, so they're making some noise in the West. I think like the thing is when so hockey playoffs, what people don't know, it's very entertaining. If you
Yeah,
never got to see it, it's fast paced. It's very kind of like
just like the baseball playoffs, like it's boring. Hockey is not boring to watch to me. For some people who don't really get the X's and O's of the game, it can be boring. I love watching it live and on TV. But just like baseball, it's you can't sit and just. I mean, unless Strasburg or Max are pitching, it's hard to just sit and watch a baseball game. But in the playoffs, that's
Mm-mm.
different. It's next level. That's highly entertaining in person and on TV.
Yeah.
So yeah, but hockey takes it up a notch too. The playoffs, it's
And
lightning fast.
and the thing is, it's like there's so many like nooks and crannies. Teams play more defensively, and it's just fast paced, and you'll enjoy the game if you've never watched it before. My wife never, she was never interested in sports until I showed her hockey, and boy, one thing led to another. And she's probably the biggest Caps fan in the
Mhm.
area.
Yep.
So, but I mean, here nor there. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, when are actually the playoffs are starting soon too, because they're
What's
starting
that?
the next, like the hockey playoffs. I think they're
It's around the same time as the NBA playoffs,
is it in two
like
more
late
months?
Aprilish.
Yeah. And then we have NCAA coming up too. That's going to be. I haven't kept up with it because
Yeah,
with
me
all
neither.
the. So maybe we should just do like a blind like picking like we'll just
If
have
I did a
one
bracket, it would definitely be a blind bracket because I don't know.
we'll just we'll just have one bracket and we'll just say okay which team we think.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll probably do well because we don't know anything. Like when I know what's going on, and my brackets never do anything. So
Right, all the research that you do into that, you're like, oh, okay, the analytics here, analytics there. You have
maybe
people,
it's
oh, I like the color of their mascot. You're like, what?
yeah, maybe it's just better to go in not knowing.
Maybe this year we might do better than we've always done in the past.
I'm sure.
So when Selection Sunday is coming up, right? It's coming up. I think sometime in 2 weeks. I think.
Around there, yeah. We're
Yeah,
getting close. Yeah.
yeah, we are because I think the crazy thing is Maryland. I'll put it this way: they have if they win the Big Ten, they're in. But I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten. No.
I mean, anything can happen, but that's probably not going to happen.
No, not at all, not at all. But you have anything else to touch upon?
No, I know we were going to get into like talking about the MLBPA versus the NFLPA,
Yeah.
but that can be a long discussion, so we can just save that for another show. We can go and wrap things up here. We've been going for over 2 hours, almost 2 hours, no, over 2
Yeah.
hours now. So
Over 2 hours, yeah.
yeah, we can go and wrap it up for this week. Yeah, like, subscribe, support, spread the word like Harish's coworker did there. What was her name again? Shout her out again.
Hey, Avista.
Avista, I appreciate you. Much love to I really appreciate that.
Mhm.
So yeah, if we could get some more support like that, that'd be great. We're gonna keep going, like I said, no matter what. But yeah, spread the word. Thank y'all for your support so far. And with the Talking Hats, Harish, last word.
Peace and love, bro.
Peace out.
Subscribe out.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.